Hello. Sometimes you want to move activities or resources around in your Moodle course. Like if you look right here, I have this document, this HTML. It needs to be indented and I'd like to move it up into the main content section of my course. So I want to show you a couple of the controls that let you do that. First of all, to indent it, you can see this little arrow here. So if I want to move that to the right to line it up, there you go. Now you see I could keep moving it to the right if I want, but I want it lined up with the rest of my resources and activities. Now I also want to move this document up so that it's just underneath this main content label, so it's right ahead of this introduction. So this tutorial document, the way I move it is I click right on this little plus sign with arrows on the end, and my cursor even changes into that, and I click and hold, and then I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little gray line that appears. Now it's just underneath where I want it. If I move it up a little more, there it is right there, and there it goes. Likewise, you can move a whole block, like this whole screencasting block. If I said, wow, I'd really like that to be after Google Apps, I can click here on that and I can move that whole block. Couple other things about the blocks. If I wanted to duplicate something, so let's say I have this by the end of the topic label here. If I want to duplicate that, the ×2 button right there would double it. So if I want to duplicate that, I can press ×2. And we'll wait just a moment. You'll see what happens. It gives you a little warning. Are you sure you want to duplicate the label by the end of the topic? And I'll say, yeah, continue. Okay, and then you can return to the course or edit the new copy. I'll return to the course. And now you can see I have one by the end of the topic and I have another one. Now since that was just to demonstrate, I'll show you one more thing. This X could delete it now because I don't really want to. I'll go ahead and click that X. Are you sure you want to completely delete this label? Yes, I am. And now I'm just back down to 1. Couple other things about this. I can hide this label. So what happens is, right now as the teacher, let's say I don't want the students to see this make your own screencast. So I'm going to go ahead and click this little eye right there, and that'll hide it. So let me click the eye. Now, you can barely see it. The teacher can tell it's there still, but it's barely visible. In fact, if I switched my role to student now, in block 1, when I go down there, I don't see it at all. That little assignment under there is gone. Now if I return to my normal role, there you can see it's really light. I had the editing off a moment ago, so I was wondering why I couldn't see this. But you can go ahead and click the eye to open it. And now it'll be again visible to students. One more thing to show you. You can have a lot of blocks like this course does. As you go down, it has a number of blocks, and you might want to highlight for your students or your learners which block you're on. And so this little light bulb right here can do that. When you do that, that lights up, and so it shows them, especially if this is a synchronous class where students are going through at relatively the same rate, it kind of quickly shows them visually, okay, here's where we are in the course right now. So there's an eye under there too, so you can even make blocks invisible to students and so on. So the last thing I want to show you is another formatting thing. What you'll see here is you see these little pieces of text like by the end of the topic or main content or introduction, and those are what's called labels. And it's not clickable, it's not an activity, but the way that you get those if you want to format the way your blocks work a little bit is under Resources, Label, right there. I'll click Label. And I'll show you what the editing screen looks like. You can basically type whatever you'd like. It gives you a WYSIWYG editor, and you can type in there Like I a lot of times will do a carriage return because I like a little spacing under the last thing, and I might make it bold and say the final point. And then I don't usually mark labels. I have my completion tracking on, but I don't normally have students have to check it off or anything. So I will go ahead and say save and return to the course, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So here we go. Here you have a carriage return under the final point. If I switch my role to the student, you can see how this looks. And so you can see now we have introduction, main content, by the end of the topic, and oops, I forgot my little colon after it, but you can see that's how you add a label. And you can, if you want, a label, I'll turn the editing back on. I'll return to my normal role, turn the editing on, and a label, just like anything else, you can edit it, you can move it over. So I could move it over if I wanted. I could close the eye of it. I can do whatever I want. It's just a way to add some text. I'm going to actually get rid of it here, but this video has gone on long enough. But the purpose of it was really just to fill you in on some more of the formatting you can do so you can make your blocks look just the way you want.